There are two really easy things that you can do to make your workouts more effective. And on this week's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast is exactly what we want to talk about. We're going to cue our introduction and dive right into this conversation. And welcome back, everybody, to the Exercise is Health podcast, brought to you by Muscle Activation Schaumburg. We're your hosts, Charlie.
And Julie.
And today we're exploring this idea of two easy ways to make your workouts more effective. Look, if you're looking to get more bang for your buck from your workouts, to do the workouts that you're already doing, but actually get better results from doing them, we have two simple things that you can start to tweak with your workouts to help you do just that. We want to let you know that if you want to start taking action on what we're talking about, that's exactly what we can help you with at our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, where we specialize in muscle activation techniques. So all you need to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com, click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. All right, so these two ways to make your workouts more effective. It's not something that you need to add into your workouts. It's not something that's going to cause your workouts to go for longer, add more into your week or anything like that. You can literally do the exact same workouts that you're already doing. You just tweak how you're doing them. And really it comes down to our 4 Exercise for Life principles, and specifically 2 in particular of our Exercise for Life principles that we find that really these make a huge difference in the results that people get in terms of building strength, building muscle, and building their energy, their fitness, everything like that from their workouts when they're doing their strength training. There's a couple of them that are really keen on helping you stay safe, and there are a couple that are really helping you to boost your results, and we want to focus on those 2 today.
That's right. So in the 4 Exercise for Life principles, I think let's just start reviewing all of them, but then we're going to focus on 2. So the first of the 4 Exercise for Life principles is to use your full, pain-free, symptom-free, stretch-free range of motion. So we are big supporters of using your full range of motion. It just has to be specific to how your body is feeling and functioning on that day. We're not focusing on that one today. So the next one is going to be to make sure that you are maintaining your moving and non-moving parts. So when you think about an exercise, you think like, oh, okay, there are parts of my body that should be moving and parts of my body that should not be moving. When you do the exercise, you need to maintain those. And for example, don't start moving a non-moving part. An example of this would be if you're standing and doing bicep curls, you would imagine the part that's below your elbow is kind of moving up and down. The rest of your body is staying still. So during that set, you don't want to start moving your whole body because that's a non-moving part. That is Exercise for Life principle number 2. Again, that one's amazing for safety, but we're actually going to be focusing today on step 3 and 4. Step 3 is going to be move slowly or not at all. One of the biggest things that people miss when they exercise is the fact that the whole goal of exercising is to give your muscles time to be challenged. We are always focused on like the number of the reps, like counting it, launching them, making it easier because it's really hard, or focusing on a lot of other things. But when you take the time to actually slow an exercise down, I always tell my clients, give your muscles the opportunity to work. Make them have the opportunity to handle the weight, the force, the challenge that you're offering to your body, because challenging your muscles is what's going to change your body. So a really huge way to take exactly what you're already doing, but making it way more effective, is to slow things down. And when you slow things down, you're going to notice your muscles have to really ramp up, even though you're going slower, because they're actually having to really work against the weight that you have.
That's exactly right. And every time we introduce this one in particular to a client, it was like, wow, this feels way harder. And they may be doing the same weight that they were doing before, the same exercises that they've done in the past before, but just simply by slowing down, it prevents you from flinging the weight. It prevents you from using momentum to lift the weight. And instead, forces your muscles to really have to work and contract in order to lift and move the weight and control the weight, both as you lift it up and as you lower it back down. And so that's really a key thing to getting results from your workouts, is making sure that you are challenging your muscles, okay? And so this Exercise for Life principle number 3 of move slowly, and then we also say or not at all, is a really big piece of that. So what do we mean by the or not at all part? That would look like doing isometric exercises where you're not moving and you're literally just squeezing your muscles. You are just, focused on the challenge of the muscles. You're not worried about lifting the weight, about creating motion at all. You are perfectly still, and you are just challenging your body. So what would this look like? It could look like a plank. It could look like a wall squat. It could look like a bunch of different exercises. You can do, isometrics with machines. You can do isometrics with dumbbells. You can do isometrics with cables. Any exercise where you feel your muscles working, but you're not moving, that would be considered like an isometric exercise, okay? And so when we talk about being able to make your workouts more effective, we're talking about making your workouts in a large way more challenging for your muscles. And an easy way to do that is to slow your motion way, way, way down, or just don't move at all, in which case you won't be using momentum, you won't be able to fling the weight, and you will just be squeezing your muscles, challenging your muscles, and using that muscle contraction to create the motion that you'd be performing with the exercise.
So that is a huge one for making your workouts like immediately more effective, just because, again, it pushes more of the challenge to your muscles. And you're going to notice that even with the same weights, your workouts feel way more difficult, way more challenging on the actual muscle tissue, which is what we want to see. The last exercise for life principle, the fourth one, that we also see really, really change the effectiveness of people's workouts in an immediate way, is to focus on the muscles that you're trying to squeeze. So changing your mental focus. And I know that seems like it's not really gonna do that much, but really when you take your brain and you're starting to focus on the muscles that you're trying to challenge, it makes things way more intense. So an example of this is I remember growing up in sports, we always did all the exercises that you didn't need any machines for, because it'd be 20 dancers doing some conditioning drills. So we would do, for example, like a plank. And when you do a plank, you should be focused on squeezing your abs, maybe a little bit of the front of your hip flexors. So anyways, it's very a focused exercise. And I remember doing everything except trying to do that, right? Like trying to distract myself. They had music on. There was a timer. I would be shifting my body to put more weight in my shoulders, put a little bit in my abs, and then later go shift into my ankles and rocking back and forth, doing everything I could to distract myself because it made the exercise and the time pass in an easier way. But if I really wanted the effect of the exercise to be highlighted, that's when you would slow down and say, hey, the entire goal here is to squeeze my core. Let me squeeze my core for this 30 seconds or this minute or whatever. So instead of trying to actively shift your focus away, which most people do by listening to different music or distracting themselves with entertainment or the news that's on at the gym or whatever, or even sometimes just counting reps is a distraction. We want you to take your focus into what muscle group am I actually trying to challenge, and you'll notice immediately that holy moly, this just got way more hard.
That's exactly right. And it's not some kind of woo-woo, piece of advice that we're talking about here. When you think about the muscles that you are working with your workouts, your brain actually starts sending more signal to those muscles. And that signal is the thing that tells your muscles not only to contract, but to change, okay? And so just simply by focusing on squeezing your quads when you're doing a leg extension, or, squeezing your biceps when you're doing a curl, or whatever group of muscles you're trying to work when you are doing a specific exercise, just focus on squeezing those muscles, and that will, in and of itself, just that simple change of what's going on in your mind, actually help you to get better results from your workouts and make your workouts more effective in terms of building strength, in terms of building muscle, simply because your brain then starts sending more signal to those muscles, which is the catalyst for, or the driver, I should say, for the changes that you're wanting to take place in terms of building strength and building muscle. So those two things are simple things that you can do with the current workout routine that you have. Again, you don't have to add anything in. You don't have to change the exercises that you're doing. You don't need to lengthen your workouts. You don't need to, add any more, whatever it is. You don't need to change anything except make these two tweaks to how you are doing the exercises, how you are doing the workouts that you are already doing. Number one, move slowly or not at all. And number two, focus on squeezing your muscles while you're doing your workouts. And those two things alone will help your workouts be more effective without you needing to do anything else. So this is exactly what we help our clients with at our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg. And so when they come in and they are wanting to start strength training, we introduce these Exercise for Life principles to them. You know, we talked about the first two, and then we went more in depth with Exercise for Life principles number 3 and 4. And so these 4 principles really guide how we go about training our clients and teaching them how to properly strength train for their body. So if that's something you'd like to experience, you can get onto our schedule by going to our website, www.matschaumburg.com, and click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for initial consultation and assessment. We also offer muscle activation techniques, which is a huge piece to this puzzle as well, as far as making your workouts more effective, because it's going to allow your body to come into your workouts fully operational. And so then you are not trying to compensate around weak and inhibited muscles. You get to use all of your muscles as your body is designed to use them when you go and work out. So again, that's another easy way to make your workouts more effective. It does add in a little bit more, but a lot of times we're able to kind of combo the MAT and the strength training with many of our clients. And so they're able to get both done at once when they come in. So again, all you have to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com, click that big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. All right, well, thank you so much, everybody, for your eyes on YouTube, your ears on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We always appreciate your time and attention that you give us every single week. Add these 2 things into your workouts and let us know how you feel like it changes your workouts and changes the results that you're able to get from your workouts. If you wouldn't mind leaving us a rating and review wherever you consume our content, it always means the world to us when you do. We're wishing you a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week.
This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.